everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks again for watching, liking, subscribing, giving us a thumbs up. We really appreciate all your comments that you leave below. It's great. The last set of comments where we were talking about it, where you guys are from, that was pretty cool to see everybody from all around the world that's watched these videos and gets something out of it. We really appreciate that. Really look forward to it. What we're going to do in this video today is we're going to change tires. I've got 12,500 Ks on the bike right now. Tires are the original Pirelli Scorpion tires. They're worn out, so it's time for them to go. I got a pair of Shinko tires to replace them with. I've had really good luck with those tires in the past. I'll more on those tires later on. But the biggest thing on this, what we're going to be doing is we're going to make a tubeless conversion on the bike. So right now, both wheels are tubed, as you know. So we're going to remove those tubes and replace the tubes with this 3M 4412 tape. Got some tire valves, got some green thread locker, some other tape. And so yeah, we're going to do a tubeless conversion on our 2021 Royal Enfield Continental GT. Now, first things first, we're going to find some room in the garage, get the bike up on stands, and remove the wheels. It's probably going to be about a 3-day video for me, because I'm just sort of work at it as we go along. It's quite hot, and go for rides on the other bike. But yeah, so right now what we're going to do is get the bike in the garage, get it on the stands, get the wheels off. We'll bring it back and forth and in and out, and go from there. All right, see you in a minute. All right, so got both wheels off. I've taken the brake rotors off of both, and the sprocket and sprocket carrier off of the rear. So I didn't want to damage the rotors. Next up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove both tires. Now, this isn't a video on how to remove tires. I don't have a ton of experience doing that. I've only done it a couple times. So I'm just going to do all that off camera. And my biggest fear is scratching the rims. So I'm going to do whatever I can to not scratch the rims. Got a set of tire spoons and some wheel protectors. Got some lubricant as well. So I'm going to right now work on removing the tires off the rims, and once that's all done, I'll bring you guys back in. All right, got both tires off the rims. It was a bit of a struggle, but I did take my time. I didn't want to damage the rims at all, so that's good. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take them outside, scrub them up with a bit of water and soap. It would be the first cleaning of the rims. What I'm going to do now is I've got the tire dismounted. I've just mounted the rim on its axle on a couple axle stands. As you can see, it spins freely. I'll probably use this to balance it as well, but it'll just get me going here, get everything cleaned up. One thing that I have noticed since the tire's off, if you notice here, where the two pieces of the rim meet each other, I guess they come up and they're welded and whatever there. So there's a bit of a divot here and over here. I'm going to fill those with JB Weld and then sand them down, because I'm worried that they may be a spot that air might leak once we do the tubeless. But what I'm going to do firstly is I'm going to check all the spokes. Now you don't have to tighten the spokes up or anything, but what you can do is just give them a tap, and you'll hear the noise of them. They should all be consistent in noise. If you hear a thud, then that means that your spoke is loose. So before you get started, just make sure that all your spokes are tight. And like say a wrench seems to do that. It's probably not the best way, but it's the only way that I have that's practical right now for myself. I have taken a quick look at the rim. It is true. There's no run out either way, so that's good. Don't have to worry about truing the rim up at all. So what I'm going to do next, like I say, I'm going to check the spokes. Then I'll go at the rim with this wire brush just to clean it all off. Then I have some alcohol. I got 99% isopropyl alcohol. So this will clean anything off the rim that's not supposed to be there before we put the tape on. So what I'm going to do then is I'll be right back with you guys. I'm going to check all my spokes, and then I'm going to start up with the wire wheel. Okay, be right back with you. There's the first bit of running around with the wire wheel. Another thing I've done is I've also marked the direction of the wheel just so I don't screw up later on. So just wanted to make sure that this is just the first cleaning, wiping down of the rim. Actually, before I do anything further on it. Everything I've read online says make sure preparation is the key. You want everything to be as clean as possible. Now, I was thinking of grinding down the spoke heads, but I'm not too worried about it. I'm using the 2mm thick 3M tape, so that should be all right. I'll give it a final one with some gloves on because I don't want any oils for my hands to cause any issues with the adhesion of the tape. I'll get right back to you guys in a bit. Okay, so I've got this one cleaned up, wiped down, and I put the JB weld on the channel, the groove there that was there. And I've started on the front one, but what I thought I would do is I'll let the JB cure up first, and then I'll sand everything down, and then give it all the cleaning and the wire brushing and that. One thing to note is that I have noticed on the front rim at least, it's an XL rim. It's written right here. I wasn't sure who the manufacturer of these rims were, but XL. So they are good quality rims, that's for sure. Yeah, so once the JB sets up and I sand it down, I'll bring you guys back. All right, so we're back a couple days later now. What I've done is the JB weld that I put on the rims has set up. I've used a Dremel and a little sanding block and just sort of got it down to where the JB is smooth to the touch. So that should provide a good seal between the tire and the rim. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take a little bit of paint, just from here up, say, and I've got some touch-up paint. I'm going to put some of this green thread locker. This one's Permatex. There's a Loctite green. It's penetrating thread locker. Now, in my situation with this bike, it's not an off-road bike. I don't foresee any time in the future where the spokes are going to loosen or the rim's going to run out of true. These modern day rims are quite strong. They're heat treated. They don't bend easily. They don't go out of true easily. So as a bit of a preventive measure, what I'm going to do is put one drop of thread locker on the inner threads, that's the threads of the spokes, and just one on the outside, one drop each, and just let that penetrate. Just this sort of peace of mind that the threads are not, the spokes aren't going to loosen up at all. If it was to happen that a spoke broke for whatever reason, then have to deal with that down the road. But this is a removable thread locker, but I don't foresee any reason why you'd actually have to do it. But that's what I'm going to do on mine. If you choose to do so, great. It's up to you. But that's what I'm going to do right now, is a one drop on each of them. So just starting at the valve hole. See if we can control this. Okay, so one drop, center of the spoke, and one drop just so it'll go around the spoke.
Alright, so I was doing some, it's the next day, I was doing some editing last night and figured out that we lost a couple sections of the video, but so this is what this insert is for now. So in regards to the tape that I'm using for this job, it's the 3M 4412N, and this is the 2.5 inch width tape. Now the reason why I bought the 2.5 inch tape is it was on Amazon for $24.83. The 2 inch is $61. I don't know why, and the 1 inch is $26. So you could use this just the 1 inch, but I think it's a bit too narrow. You'd have to do 2 wraps on the rear and 1 on the front, but even on the front, I think it's a bit too narrow. So what I've chosen to do is go with the 2.5 inch, and then for the rear, as you'll see, full width, and on the front, I cut half of it off and used that. So basically just sliced it and rolled this piece of PVC pipe to gather up the new tape. Now, what is also going to be missing, but I'm going to tell you about now, is on the rims, what I did was I put rows of colored electrical tape so that when the tape goes down, the 3M tape goes down, I can then cut it off. What I want to do was have the tape go up the valley, up from the valley of the rims about halfway. I think that's going to provide enough air tightness and security so that we won't get any leaks. So I used colored tape because black tape on a black rim, you can't see it. So I used colored electrical tape, which you can buy almost anywhere, I would imagine, and then just sliced it around, as you'll see in the video. Okay. So anyways, the other thing, I'll put a link to the tapes down below. It's an Amazon affiliate link. So Amazon wants me to say that, yeah, I'm going to get 1 or 2% if you guys happen to purchase it through the links. Go ahead, that's great. Thanks very much if you do. But if not, good with that too. So anyways, on to the video.
All right, so again, just another final clean of the inside of the rim using some isopropyl alcohol. This has probably been done now, I would think, about 5 times. I really want this to work, and I can see that would be nothing worse than going through all this hassle and then having it leak. So we don't want that. I put some gloves on as well, just in order to hopefully keep any oils or sweat from my hands on the rim. I don't want to have anything that's going to damage or cause an issue with the tape adhering. Yeah, that was my calculation was 56 inches around. Ooh. This is going to be sticky stuff. Really sticky stuff. I haven't really played with it yet up until now. So, yeah. The old phrase that sticks like shit to a blanket. I think it will. Alright, so I've got my direction around the right way. Wheel rotates that way. So I'm going to start the tape 2 spoke holes from the valve. My plan is to come up, cover the tape by about 2 centimeters, which is what 3M recommends in terms of overlapping the tape. So let's see how this stuff goes on. Okay, so we'll put this guy there. Try and get it in like so. Push down from the center. Roll out to the sides. Okay. I don't know if these gloves are a real pain in the ass, but they might work. So we'll just take our time. Roll back. There's no removing this tape once it's on. Well, there is. You can peel it off, but you'll wreck it, of course. But as you can see here, once this stuff sticks, it sticks. So take your time. The other thing I've seen people using is a ball to roll down, which might happen on the front wheel, but we'll get there eventually. But right now this is the rear wheel, so it's lots of room to work with your fingers. So push it down. 2 spokes done, and I don't know, 50 to go. I'll bring you back in once we've made a little more progress. Okay, we're, I guess, got about 10 inches to go, but slow and steady, like I say. It helps to have an assistant, an extra set of hands as well. So I've recruited my beautiful wife and photographer to help as well. So with each of us sitting on the side of the wheel like this, it works out really well having both people push and mold it in, and all you have to do is use your fingers. And I had to take the gloves off, my hands were sweating. It was just wasn't any benefit. So I'm not touching the rim with my fingers at all, so I won't be putting any oils or sweat on there, but just kind of feeling as you go along. And say push down in the center first, just go a couple inches, then just go to the sides again, to the side. Try and force out any air bubbles, and you don't want any air bubbles or wrinkles in there at all. As I get to the end here, I'll bring you guys back in and go there. Okay, so what I've done is taken some of this wrappy, plasticky film, and on the last 5 inches, just cut a piece of it and put it down there so that I can have a little more hands-on with this stuff, just for the final area. So I can actually pull the top one off. So if you look here, I'm going to overlap the tape by about 2 centimeters. There's the valve hole. So this is just so that it makes it a bit easier to explain to you guys what exactly I'm doing. So I'm just going to keep on fitting it in, and then once I've got it to there, then we'll bring you back in. Okay, so there's the valve hole right there, and as I said before, I'm just at the overlap now, so what I'm going to do is cut the tape, I guess just around here. Probably a little more than we have to, but this piece I'll be using down the road as well. Okay, so this will give us a little more than a couple centimeters of overlap, which I'd read somewhere in 3M's literature that that's what they suggest for overlapping the seal to make a good seal. So I'll just Peel this one back off again. Okay, so we got the film off the tape. And we're just gonna work that down. It's a pretty decent overlap, so it shouldn't affect anything. So that's the rim wrapped in it there. Now what I'm going to do is go around again and just smooth it out. It's quite smooth as it is already, but just to sort of make sure that it's not lifting up anywhere and is nice and tight to the portion of the walls. My thinking for that was that if air somehow works its way in just a bit of this, like for instance down here, that should still be enough that it's not going to work its way all the way to a spoke and then leak. So fingers crossed. It's really the last thing I want to do is have to redo it again. So I'm going to continue doing this, then I will bring you guys back in when I cut and install the valve stem. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is the X-Acto with a brand new blade, starting at the valve hole, is just try and slowly go along and cut along the line of the tape. You see on the, as you can see there on the line where it's doubled up, it's quite difficult to get through, but you can just kind of barely see the yellow electrical tape under there. I'm trying to follow that line, but okay, there's once around. I'm going to go 2 ice around just for a good measure to make sure that I've cut all the way through. There we are. So now the way I put the electrical tape on, you'll see is the top piece, or the last piece, I rolled it out to the side so it makes it easier to grab it. So that's why you can see I've put the tape to the outside. So let's see how this goes now. The big reveal. There may be some electrical tape stuck there, but we'll get that out after. I'll come back for that guy. Not bad. Okay, there's one side. I still see that I've got a bit of tape here, so I'm just going to tidy that up, and then I'll be right back with you guys. So as you can see, got it trimmed out. Now just going to carefully cut out the valve hole. Now the valve stems that I bought, they're just 8mm valve stems. I actually got them off of AliExpress. There's other ones, I'll put a link below. They were cheap. They're, I think, about $5 for a pair of them. Jesus, this stuff is incredibly sticky. It almost feels liquid in some ways too, the way it works. It's very cool. So just slowly try and get this out of here. There we go. Okay. Next up, valve stem. Now, one thing that I will say is that I picked up this valve stem. I know a lot of people will use 90-degree valve stems. I thought of using that. What I didn't like in the videos that I've seen of people that have used that is that they tighten from the inside on the 90-degree stems, and I didn't want to compromise the tape at all. And what I've seen is a lot of people tighten them up from the inside here and twisting the tape. I didn't want that to happen on this one. So like I say, there's the valve stem. It's got a rubber seal and a rubber on the outside, and this metal cap, and then a double lock nut switch. I'm going to also probably Loctite. I guess if we can, I'll show you guys probably down here if you can see. So it's there. I'm just going to get a wrench and tighten that down. See the rubber has started to compress a bit. Which hopefully will give us a good seal. So I don't want to overly tighten it. And I will be putting on some thread locker. Yeah, if you look up top, it's just started to compress, which I think is going to give us a good seal. I'm going to put the other double nut on there for now. I will Loctite it afterwards. That's good. Now, one other thing that I'm going to do out of a sort of a abundance of caution is I'm going to place a piece of the tape over top of the valve stem, but I'm just going to trim it a bit. What I've done is I've taken the piece of tape, put the plastic again over top of it so that it can peel off easily and reuse it and use it. So it's got, right now it's got the protective plastic on both sides. That allows me to work with it a bit. Just going to sort of trim it a bit. Then, using punch that I have, I'm just going to put a hole in the center, relatively in the center, like so. Now I'll just sort of, what I want to do is put this patch like so. I'm going to trim it a little bit more maybe. before I put it on there, but that's my thinking, is this way we're doubly sure that the valve is not going to leak. At least around but air will still be allowed to come in. Now before I stick that on there, I'll just give it a quick little dab with a bit of alcohol to make sure that there's no residual oils left anywhere. The other thing with this setup like this, of course, is that if there is a problem and you have leftover tape, you can always, say a spoke were to leak, or you're to screw up the tape a bit, changing tires by nicking it with a tire iron. You can always use a chunk of the tape afterwards and repair it. So peel that off now. Sticky side down, of course. Make sure we get the hole where it belongs. Like so. Now just press it outward from the hole. Alright, so there we have over top of the valve. Just another extra measure of security. Saying I do not want this to leak. So there's the rear wheel. Now for the front wheel, I'm going to try firstly to got the front wheel set up the same as the rear, with the tape on it ready to go. I'm gonna try before, well, off camera of course, but I'm going to try and cut off half of this. So I'm going to try and run my knife through the center, cut off 56, 2.5 inches, so 1.25 inches would actually be almost ideal for the front wheel. I know I've seen guys that use 1-inch tape. That works as well, but like I say, I've got the 2.5-inch tape because it was such a smoking deal, and I'm so cheap. Anyways, so I'm going to cut this in half and roll it onto a piece of PVC pipe that I have, and we'll bring you guys back once we've accomplished that and we're ready to do the front wheel. Show must go on. All right, so what I've done is cut off about half, approximately half, a little more than half of the tape. The way that we've done that is cut it and then roll it onto this piece of PVC pipe as we go along. It's a bit of a pain as you get deeper, of course, because this sealant is quite goopy, but nevertheless, got it. So now it's time to do the front wheel. I've given it an additional cleaning. Hopefully this is enough tape. If not, we'll have to go back and start over again, or dig some more off of there. Anyways, just look for the spoke hole. So again, get my direction. Direction is that way. So yeah, good. Right No. Okay, so again, arrows are all set up. I'm going to come 2 spokes over, and I'm going to start over here into the center. It's a little trickier than the rear, actually, because the channel is quite deep on the front. So might be a little more, there we go, a little more difficult to get it in there. Again, I've got the, start the plastic coming off now. Roll the plastic in, and now just start, again, working from the center up to the sides. It can rest there, I hope. Around the spokes, trying to get any trapped air out of there. And again, we'll, as we go along, I'll bring you back in. Alright, so almost halfway there. It's a bit of a pain to get it into the channel, but it's not that bad. It's coming along. Just like I say, take your time and squish the air out as we go along here. Alright, slowly but surely. Okay, got it all in there, smoothed in, looking pretty good. Now all we're going to have to do is trim the tape again. Just go to the spoke hole, which is here, and again, I think the tape is right around there. Let's twist around. There's a spoke hole. Let's pull the tape and see how she goes. Pretty good. I'm going to there, smooth it down, and then we'll pull the other side. All right, for tires, what I've gone with is a Shinko SR712 on the front in a 190/18, and for the rear SR741 140/70/18. So a little bit, I think 10 millimeters wider than stock on the rear and stock size on the front. I've had really good luck in the past using the zap strap method. If you're not familiar with it, basically what you have to do is put the zap straps on the tire, around the tire, and get the beads, get it so that the beads are touching as close as possible in order to install it. So what I'm going to do is put some cable ties around. I'll probably use about 6 cable ties per tire all the way around. Then I'm going to put the tires out in the sun so they heat up nicely and make it so that they're nice and pliable. Make sure, if you're going to do this method, make sure that you put the cables onto the outside so that when you do cut them, you can take them off, they don't get stuck on the wheel. So shitty cable ties from the dollar store. See, I've had good luck with the Shinko tires. I know a lot of people have gone with the Bridgestone BT46s on these bikes. Those are a good tire as well. Just these ones are quite a bit cheaper. I think all in, it was around $200 for both tires. So, and the other thing with the BT46s is that they're kind of hard to find. So, I've had good luck with Shinkos in the past, and have no reason not to use them. I'll just finish this up and get them out in the sun. Alright, so tires have been outside in the sun, a little more pliable. So, I've only done this a couple times before, so let's see how she goes. Okay. Direction's right. Down there. That was pretty easy. Red dot on the tire is there. So we're gonna turn the valve up to there. For lube as well, I'm not sure if I said this before, but all I'm using is Murphy's oil soap, 1 part and 2 parts water. Seems to work pretty good. Red dot. Better. You might hear some noise outside. We've got a thunderstorm happening now. But, okay. There's one. There's 2. See? That's exactly what's supposed to happen with the front one. I want to put it up to about I guess 40 pounds overnight, just to see if it's going to lose anything overnight, which I know it doesn't for sure. Okay, we got 40 pounds there, according to Harley Davidson. So we're going to let that one set overnight. Check it again in the morning. Hopefully it hasn't lost anything. I think we finally got it seated after about 45 minutes of fucking around. 40 pounds in there. So, a couple of bounces just to make sure everything's hopefully sealed. And then come back and check tomorrow. Hopefully we got 40 pounds still. Stay tuned, folks. Okay, so here we are, next day. Have the tires, they feel solid. I haven't checked them until now, so let's see what old Harley Davidson says. There we go.
40 pounds. Oh, it's going down. It's leaking out, but it's 40 pounds. It's a leaky gauge, typical Harley-Davidson. Check the rear. Again, oh, it's coming down. It was up there as well. So there we go. It works. This system works. Now all I've got to do is put everything back together again.
All right, so there's the finished product. Shinko on the front and the rear. Looks great, in my opinion. Lots of clearance, front and rear, as you can see here. Nice clearance. Only gone 10 millimeters wider on the rear. A little more aggressive compared to the stock tires, even when the stock tires were new. Yeah. Looks pretty good. Yeah. Awesome. And tubeless too. All right, guys. That's the mod. The tubeless tire conversion for the Royal Enfield Continental 650. This also works on any other spoked wheels that you might have. I would totally recommend doing it. The one thing I will stress to anyone out there is take your time, take your time, take your time when you're doing this. Don't rush it, and make sure your surfaces are totally clean. But yeah, that's it in a nutshell. Thanks again for watching, liking, subscribing, giving us a thumbs up. Leave your comments down below. We love reading them, respond to every comment that's out there. And yeah, once again, guys, keep the rubber side down, and we're going for a ride.